Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I have previously responded to the question, what is religion? Do you believe in God? But I want to dig in a little bit. As far as my personal beliefs go, I mean, nobody really asked, but I feel like maybe I should go on record and just state my point of view because it does seem to be a question that gets asked a lot. And I have nothing to hide in this regard, and I do want to clarify my stance on it. So, I go to church, but that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's religious or believing, a believer, a faithful person, that is. It takes more than that. So, my concern about the question itself, do you believe in God, is understanding the meaning behind it. Because believe it or not, it can mean different things. And I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm not trying to be evasive, but I'm going to describe the common meaning that I think is meant when somebody asks the question, and I will answer that question. So, do you believe in God? I believe means, do you have faith in a higher power? Something that is benevolent, loving, and potentially can make decisions, very large and powerful decisions on behalf of lots of things and people, and potentially involve itself in their affairs. So yes, I do actually. I do believe in higher powers. But where we might disagree is that faith can be misplaced. I think that faith isn't a more the better kind of thing, actually. I think that it's very important to understand what higher power you're confronting, because most people don't ask that question. They don't ask, who is causing these so-called miracles before me? And because my understanding, based on just what I've read and logic itself, just superficially, I think that other entities besides God have godlike powers sometimes, or the illusion thereof, if nothing else, right? So it pays to check your facts. This is my point. However, there's a big however, and that is faith is huge. I've made videos about faith, and I stand by everything I've ever said. Faith is when all things are equal. If you don't know the right thing to do, err on the side of positivity, err on the side of success, expecting optimistically something to work out, including and especially some kind of divine redemption in this life and the next. I believe in this stuff. I do. I believe that I believe in the power of manifestation, and I believe that God is closely connected to all this stuff in terms of energy and influence. So as far as the other questions, are you religious? Again, it really depends on what you mean. Religious, do you mean? I've literally made this video, and you can check it out. But I will restate here briefly what I said there. Religious can mean following rituals, being baptized, attending church regularly, wearing the symbols, participating in communion, and these are all symbolic, right? Symbolic, ritualistic behaviors that you can do. But I think that religion is something else. I think that religion is understanding the principles of it, such as goodwill unto other people, being fair, being kind, tolerant, patient, loving, giving what you would expect to receive. All of these things are at the core of Christianity. For example, good works are at the core of all religions when you look at it, including Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslims, Christianity especially. Good works are the centerpiece because obviously people understand and value good works. So yes, if that's the definition, absolutely I'm religious, but I don't waste time trying to affiliate with people in general. I don't waste time saying that I'm a Catholic versus a Protestant, or an Episcopalian versus a Methodist, or a Baptist versus a Mormon. I don't necessarily subscribe to a particular denomination of Christianity, but I do definitely agree with the core principles on a very deep level. I think that there's a lot of profound wisdom. And as far as the final question, do you allow God to act through you? This is a big one, actually. And it ties into my first response, that you should know who's controlling you, because it could even just be another person. You never know with technology these days. But here's the thing. Yeah, if it's God, if it's actually God, and God has omniscience, omnipotence, and a goodwill unto his children and people, like I want to believe, like I have faith in, absolutely. I don't mind being used as an angel or an implement to affect positive change in the world. But however, there is a limit where faith can be overextended, if you ask me. There's such a thing as being stupid, And I'm not saying that faithful people are stupid, but I think that there's a line you can cross, especially when you have completely failed to understand or identify the influences that are confronting you. And there can be many. Like I said, there can be God, perhaps. There can be the devil, maybe. I mean, it pays to understand and question your orders. Okay, and this is actually true for any chain of command, whether it's divine and mystical and unprovable, or something very human and realistic and everyday, such as a chain of command in your workplace or in some kind of organization. You have to actually at some point question your directives. You have to have enough understanding of what you're being asked to do to be able to at least get a feeling of its propriety. This is important, because otherwise you become complicit. You become involved in some very shady stuff. This happens all the time. Your involvement in an organization is enough to incriminate you if that organization is being run by criminals. It's a fact. It's a fact. So, faith is great. If I know it's God, 100%, yes, without a doubt, without hesitation. How do you know? I think you have to ask at some point. So the question becomes one of balance, right? How much faith is appropriate? How much tolerance and patience is appropriate? Is there such a thing as being over-patient? Is there such a thing as being used and abused by parasitic, selfish interests? Because absolutely there is. Hopefully that's obvious. And especially in this day and age, it's hard to differentiate between the effects of technology and actual divine influence. And if you ask me, if you know anything about the singularity and prophecy moving forward, they merge, right? Technology merges with the spiritual. It becomes indistinguishable without boundaries between them. You have to understand what you're participating in. It's very important, without blindly assisting evil interests. A lot of people fall victim to this. Don't just believe everything you hear. Question some things, at least. And that's where I'm at with it. So yes, I am religious. Yes, I do believe in God. And yes, I am willing to be used as a divine instrument, if that's what it is. Reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.